Once praised as Southern California's finest residence, this two-story brick home hides a chilling secret, where ghostly sightings, strange occurrences, and the weight of untold stories permeate the air. Welcome to terrifying tales and haunted locations. Welcome to the Whaley House. In the heart of Old Town San Diego, California, stands the Whaley House, a place steeped in sorrow and haunted by its tragic history. Over the years, the Whaley family, who once called this house their home, became intertwined with relentless misfortune, their grief seemingly etched into its very walls. Built with bricks from Thomas Whaley's brickyard, the house earned recognition as San Diego County's first grand mansion. Despite the years that have passed, the original courtroom and theater still stand. However, the house's most significant role was as the home of Thomas and Anna Whaley and their children, who lived there intermittently from the late 1800s to the early 1900s. However, the eerie happenings were not solely tied to the Whaley family. The land itself carried a sinister legacy, its dark history casting a long shadow over the house. One of the most infamous figures linked to the Whaley House property is Yankee Jim Robinson. In 1852, 4 years before Thomas purchased the land, Robinson was sentenced to death by hanging for attempting to steal a boat. His execution took place on the very spot where the Whaley House now stands. According to legend, the rope used was too short, causing Yankee Jim to suffer a slow and agonizing death. Many believe his restless spirit cursed the land, leaving behind a dark presence that still haunts the house. Thomas Whaley purchased the land a few years later, a decision that would cast a long, eerie shadow over his life. When he and his family moved in, they were tormented by unsettling footsteps echoing through the house, which Thomas believed were the spectral remnants of Yankee Jim. Anna Whaley shared his fears, convinced that the house was haunted and that the very property was cursed. During their early years at the Whaley House, Thomas and Anna Whaley welcomed 3 children, Francis Hinton, Thomas Jr., and Anna Amelia. Tragically, Thomas Jr. succumbed to scarlet fever at just 17 months old within the confines of their home. The family's misfortunes continued when on August 21, 1858, merely a year after moving into their grand mansion, a devastating fire erupted, engulfing and destroying the portion of the house that Thomas had converted into a general store. Overwhelmed by grief, the Whaley family moved to San Francisco, where they had 3 more children, George Hayes Ringgold, Violet Eloise, and Corinne Lillian. Yet in 1868, another calamity struck when the Hayward earthquake forced them to return to San Diego. Reluctantly, they moved back into the Whaley House. On January 5, 1882, Violet and her sister Anna were married in San Diego. Yet just 2 weeks after the wedding, Violet discovered that her new husband was a con artist who had married her solely for her wealth. In an era when divorce was considered scandalous, Violet's public humiliation and the crushing betrayal drove her into a profound depression. Tragically, just 3 years later, Violet took her own life in the family home's outhouse. Thomas discovered her bleeding and barely alive, carried her back inside, and laid her in the back parlor, where she ultimately succumbed to her injuries. At the time of Violet's death, her sister Lillian was engaged to be married. In a cruel twist, her fiancé ended the engagement, unable to endure the scandal surrounding the family. Devastated, Lillian too fell into a profound depression. In the wake of these devastating events, Thomas Whaley built a new home for his family on State Street in a newer part of San Diego, leaving the Whaley House abandoned for over 20 years. Yet despite the physical distance, the family's connection to the house remained unbroken. Over the next 40 years, 3 more of Thomas and Anna's children met their end within the haunting walls of the Whaley House. Anna in 1913, Frances in 1914, and Lillian in 1953. Meanwhile, Thomas Whaley died at 67 on December 14, 1890, at his State Street residence due to ill health. 15 years later, on December 12, 1905, Anna Whaley died in Modesto, California at 53. The family's ghostly presence continues to resonate within the Whaley House, and many visitors still sense it today. Guests and staff have reported hearing eerie infant cries, a chilling phenomena that is likely connected to the tragic death of Thomas Jr., who succumbed to scarlet fever at just 17 months in the house. The faint sound of tiny footsteps is said to echo through the hallways, a haunting reminder of the child's brief and sorrowful time in the residence. One of the most intensely felt areas of spiritual energy in the Whaley House is the back room on the second floor. Many have reported seeing the ghostly figure of a young woman believed to be Violet. Her presence is often accompanied by a profound sense of melancholy, as if the heavy burden of her tragic fate continues to linger in the room. Other areas of the house are also spiritually active, with numerous reports of unidentified apparitions. These ghostly encounters may stem from former tenants renting the house in the early 1900s. The dining room is home to the spirit of a little girl, while the theater room occasionally echoes with the lively sounds of vaudeville music. Psychics and paranormal investigators have pinpointed the courtroom as a particularly active hub of supernatural activity. A woman is frequently seen in the back corner of the jury box, and this area is thought to be a spiritual vortex, a portal to the unknown that seems to attract and trap restless energies. Over 30 years ago, a police officer encountered a paranormal event outside the Whaley House. After responding to a 911 call from a concerned citizen who reported hearing a woman crying outside, the officer witnessed a chilling sight that he only revealed decades later in a confidential retirement letter. Upon arrival at the property, the officer saw a woman in period clothing crying at the back of the house. He approached her and asked, "Ma'am, are you all right?" As she turned to smile at him, he shined his flashlight on her, and she vanished in an instant. Anna Whaley is frequently seen in the garden or in one of the downstairs rooms. She is often observed in a long, flowing dress, sometimes seen sipping tea in the parlor, where Thomas has also been spotted. Visitors report hearing a faint sobbing, which may be Anna mourning her family's tragedies. Her presence is typically accompanied by a sudden drop of temperature, as if the air turns cold in her wake. Interestingly, another San Diego police officer reportedly had encountered Anna Whaley. One night, Victor Santana, a tour guide at the Whaley House, was setting the alarm when he heard a woman's voice ask, "Why are you here?" Startled, Santana fled out the front door without completing the code, triggering the alarm. When the police arrived, Santana recounted that one of the officers had seen a woman in a green dress in the parlor, but she had vanished when backup arrived. Additionally, the spirits of Thomas and Anna Whaley are said to haunt the house. Thomas is often seen on the upper landing, where witnesses have described him wearing a frock coat and pantaloons. Some even report that he blows tobacco smoke in visitors' faces, with his heavy footsteps echoing through the home, as if he's still overseeing his family's estate, which add to the house's eerie reputation. These unsettling events are often linked to the lingering anger and restless spirit of Yankee Jim Robinson, the notorious thief hanged nearly 2 centuries ago. Today, the Whaley House, one of only 2 officially designated haunted houses in California, draws countless visitors fascinated by its dark history and the eerie occurrences still reported within its walls. Designated a California Historic Landmark in 1960, the house now operates as a museum, but its turbulent past and frequent paranormal reports suggest it remains haunted. More than 100,000 visitors come each year, whether to explore its history or seek out supernatural experiences. Numerous eerie events and chilling encounters have only strengthened its reputation among paranormal enthusiasts, with many guests leaving with their own ghostly stories, adding to the house's unsettling lore. Who do you believe haunts the mysterious Whaley House? Could it be the spirits of the Whaley family, still bound to the home they once cherished? Or are darker, restless souls roaming its halls? One thing is certain, the Whaley House is more than just a historic landmark. It's a gateway to another realm, where the line between past and present blurs, and the boundary between the living and the dead eerily fades away. That's all for now. Until next time, thank you for watching.